All right, everybody, we're back. We got another video. We got another position to go over. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the center position for the Seattle Seahawks. To me, this is the most important thing on this offense. Getting this right going into 2020 is the most important thing we need to resolve on this offense because right now, the situation, in my opinion, is going to be dire if things are left as they are. And it's going to be something that we, as a team, we're not going to be able to recover from. So I really, really want to get this right. And I've evaluated the position from 3 different angles, and here's what I have. So, center. Currently, we have 2 centers on the team that we know of. Some people are saying Ethan Posick. Some people say Jordan Roos. Both those guys could move to center. I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, Ethan Posick has never actually played center for this team. So, that's one of those things where I'm going to say I'll believe it when I see it. But for now, as far as we know, we have 2 centers. We have Justin Britt. He's under contract for 1 more year at $11.5 million. He's coming off the ACL tear. He tore his ACL in the Falcons game last year. He was playing okay before then. He had a really bad week 1, and then he kind of found himself and was playing okay. But he's going to be 29 next year, which is not that old. But to me, I look at this player and what he's been doing over the last few years. I look at how his game has slowly diminished as time has gone by. I look at the injury he had last year, and I look at the $8.5 million we could save if we cut him. And I don't want Justin Britt on this team next year. Plain and simple. I want him cut. I want that $8.5 million saved. I want to eat the 2.9 dead money, 2.9 million in dead money, and I don't want him here. But as of right now, he is the starting center, and as of right now, he is the only center signed through 2020 because the other center, Joey Hunt, is a free agent going into 2020. We all kind of know what we have with Joey Hunt. He's too small to play effectively in the NFL, but he's not horrible. He's just got real limitations, and every time he goes up against a big-time defensive tackle, he gets dominated. If we wanted to keep him, which wouldn't be unreasonable, I say about 1 year and $900K. It might be a little more because he did actually get some starting experience this year, which he didn't really have before. But he's not a very good player, so it's not going to be that much, whatever it is. I said 1 year, $900K. It might be a mil, 1.1 mil, whatever. He'll be 26 next year, so he's still young, but he seems pretty capped out at what he is, which is a good backup center. Doesn't really matter if we keep him or not. Personally, I would probably say let him go because you don't want him as your emergency option when we know for a fact that he's just going to get bull rushed into oblivion by elite defensive tackles. We've seen that movie too many times. So, how do we get better here? Free agency, it kind of sucks. I've looked at the free agent market for centers. I don't see very much that I like. The only 2 guys who caught my eye, we're going to go through this. One guy, Spencer Long, is under contract for 2 more years with Buffalo, pending a club option. So they could say, hey, we want to bring you back for 2020, or they could say, we want to let you go. It's one of those team option deals. So he's in the first year of a 3-year deal with Buffalo. He's starting for them. As far as I know, he's done all right. So I would kind of expect them to keep him, but for the moment, he has to at least be listed as a possibility. Seems like a pretty decent player. He'll be 29 next year, so age is not a big problem with him. It's not sexy. I'm not excited about it. If we got Spencer Long, honestly, my first thought would be, wait a minute, why did Buffalo let this guy go? Is he actually not very good? Is that why Buffalo's sending him away? So if he is an option, that's a problem in and of itself. But if we did decide to go out and get him, if Buffalo decides to kick him out, then 3 years, 14 million probably sounds about right. He's in his athletic prime, more or less, as far as centers go. He's started for some pretty good teams in recent years, although not great offenses. So that's an option. The other option I like is Ben Garland. We know him as the 49ers backup center. When Weston Richburg got hurt last year, I can't remember what game he got hurt in, but when Richburg went out with that injury, Garland came in and played okay. And Garland's been in the league for a while. He's never been a big-time player. He's never made a lot of money in the NFL, but I think he made himself some money by playing pretty well down the stretch for the 49ers and playing pretty well in the playoffs. I think he only gave up one sack across all of his starts this year. So I said 2 years, 10 million, but I don't know. I don't know. He's an older player. He's going to be 32 next year. I don't know what his market is going to be, but as you can see, the free agent market for centers right now sucks ass. So maybe he'll get a lot more. I don't know. But he's an option. He would be a good option to hold down the fort for a year, maybe 2 years, while we figure out what we're doing for the long term. So he's an option. And the final guy I have listed here is not a free agent, but he is a potential target. It's Alex Mack, the center from the Falcons. He is a trade target. Atlanta, I don't know if they would actually do this. And because if you look at the Falcons, they have a franchise level quarterback, they have a franchise level receiver. They should still be trying to compete to win right now. It might be futile. It might result in another 6-10 season. They might be no good, but they really should probably be all in to win this season in 2020. But let's say they decide, we need to start blowing this up a little bit. We need to start moving some of these older guys. We need to start getting some picks. Alex Mack, in the last year of a big contract, owed $10.5 million next year. 34 years old, had a great career as a center. If they decide, hey, we want to move him, I don't know what we'd have to give up to get him, but he's still a really good center, and it has to be considered a possibility that we would trade for him if Atlanta decided, hey, we want to move on from this guy. I think he's got one good year left in him, and we could trade for him and let him start, and it should be all right for us while we figure out what we're doing over the long term. So I'm going to come back to Alex Mack, but that's it. If you want to resolve our center position using players who are already in the NFL, I can't find anything better than this. You know, it's dry. So we got to look at the draft, which is not exactly where I want it to be, but it's not without some good options. So I've listed, I think, 8 guys here who caught my eye when I was looking over some of the college centers who are declaring for the draft this year. So number 1 is my favorite, kind of my white whale, the guy I'm chasing, the guy I really want to bring to Seattle with the 27th overall pick, Tyler Biadasz. I'll learn how to pronounce his name if we draft him, but I'm not going to if we don't. From Wisconsin, the center from Wisconsin, best center in college football last year by a pretty wide margin. Best center in this draft by a pretty wide margin. The only center who projects to have any shot of going in the first round. 6'3", 316 pounds, so he's already pretty sizable. You can already look at him and say, yeah, that's an NFL-ready center. Runs a 5'2" 40, which is perfectly fine, and he projects to go anywhere from the first round to the third round. So it's not impossible you could get him with a second, maybe even a third round pick, but I think the fact that the free agent market is so dry when it comes to centers is going to lead to Biadasz being a first-round pick. All right. After that, in my opinion, that's kind of the end if you're looking for a guy who can start day one. You know, Biadasz, if you draft him, you will expect him fully to be the starter week 1 of the 2020 season. I don't know about the rest of these guys, but we're going to go over them because there are routes that involve us taking a bit of a project, So the next name I kind of liked was Jake Hansen from Oregon. He's tall, which is a little unconventional. I mean, if you look at this, he's 6'5" and 302 pounds. So my gut tells me he needs to put on some weight. He's got a sub 540 time, 4.99, which is pretty great for an offensive lineman. But to me, he probably needs to put on a little bit of weight. He projects to go anywhere from the second round to the fourth round, so you could get him a little later. You could trade down and get him. It's I wouldn't hate it, but I'm not necessarily believing he's going to be ready to start week 1. Cesar Ruiz from Michigan. I like his size. He's 6'4" and almost 320 already, so he's already got NFL size, and you guys know we just survived the second half of a season with tiny-ass Joey Hunt at center, and Joey Hunt is like 6'2" and a little under 300, I think. So those pounds make a difference. And I like that this guy's already 320. I like that this guy's a good deal bigger than Joey Hunt already. So he caught my eye mainly for that. He projects to go anywhere from the third round to the fifth round. And this next guy is maybe my favorite project, Matt Hennessy from Temple. The only thing that's a little bit of a red flag for me with this guy is that he went to a school like Temple. I'd like it a little better if he went to a major school, but he's 6'4" and 295, so he's definitely a project. He needs to put on some weight, I know that, but 5.17 40 time, which is solid. You could get him anywhere from the third round to the fifth round. I just like what I hear about this guy. I like how well he did at the Senior Bowl. I like how he did in his interview. I feel like there's really something there in terms of him maybe being a starter in season 2 or 3. So if we take a project, Matt Hennessy is kind of my guy. Darrell Williams, Mississippi State. Next guy I kind of like, 6'2", 310 pounds. So not that much bigger than Joey Hunt. So we probably would need him to put on weight as well. But that's what you're going to get for a lot of these guys, right? So 5'2", 40 time. You could get him anywhere from the third round to the fifth round. He's definitely another guy who I don't see starting right away, but not necessarily that far off either. Next we have Keith Ishmael. Sorry if you guys can hear my dog up there. San Diego State University, another San Diego State offensive lineman. They run the ball really, really well down in San Diego State. 6'3", 310 pounds, 5.22 40 time. Decent size already. I mean, pretty manageable. He puts on maybe 10 pounds, and I feel like you've got your man. Again, third round to fifth round. Wouldn't be a bad idea to take a flyer on him as a project. And now we're getting near the bottom of the draft. So this next guy we're probably pretty familiar with if you're watching this video. Frederick Mauigola. And I will learn how to pronounce his name as well if we draft him, but not before then. Washington State. So, one, he knows how to pass block, hopefully, because Washington State passes the ball 80 times every game. So that's kind of nice. And he's already a decent size, 6'3", 310 pounds, runs a good 40, 5.17. To me, this guy might be the flyer you take. Not a project, not somebody you're counting on starting anytime soon or maybe ever. Might be a bit of a fun project just because you can get him in the 4th through 6th round. So you don't necessarily expect the world of guys you picked down there anyway. But to me, this is kind of interesting because he's good size. He's got quick feet. It seems like he might actually be a little better than you would expect from down there in the draft. So kind of like him. The last name is a Texas guy, Zach Shackelford from the University of Texas. 6'4", 305, so he's another guy who probably needs to put on some weight. 5.28 40, which is fine, not great. But he is projected to go all the way down in the 7th round. So you might even be able to get him undrafted. So basically, as you can see, after Biadaz from Wisconsin, you're looking at a lot of projects and flyers and long shots and guys who need to put on weight, guys who need to improve their game in a few areas. It's not a great draft for centers. You know, one of the bigger centers in this year's draft is Nick Harris, but I kind of tossed him out because I don't want to spend a second-round pick on a center who weighs like 290, because that's telling me you're not going to be ready to start for week 1 because you need to put on weight and put on some muscle, and I don't think you're going to be able to do it fast enough, and I need somebody who's going to help me right now. So it's a little thin, but to me that just means we need to attack this even fiercer because we need a good center in 2020, and to me that guy is not currently on this team. I think Britt's game has deteriorated. I think that the free agency market has half measures and some very lackluster options that could easily just completely fall flat on their face. So my ideal would be, number one, we cut Justin Britt. That's going to be my plan no matter what. I do not want to pay $11.5 million for a guy who I think is on the verge of having his game fall off a cliff. So whatever we do, my ideal scenario involves letting Justin Britt go. And by the way, when we let him go, there might be a big market out there for him just because there are so few good options at center. But anyway, After that, I would like to draft Biadaz with our first round pick because I do think he's going to be a first rounder. And then I would like to use a late round pick on Frederick Mauigola, Goa, and make him sort of the backup and project for the future. Because obviously we're drafting Tyler to start and start for the long term. I would just bring in Mauigola to be the backup and probably never rise up more than that. But I'm intrigued by him as an option for depth. If we do not do that, my plan B would involve, first of all, cutting Justin Britt, like I said, moving on from Britt. And then I would like to trade for Alex Mack, get one last good year out of him. Hopefully, right? Obviously. But in that case, I would want to draft Matt Hennessy in the 4th round, develop him, let him put on weight, see what we got in 2021. Because by 2021, we might need to move on from Mac. I mean, he's going to be a free agent anyway. It's a short-term solution no matter what. So the project that I like would be Hennessy in the 4th round. Cesar Ruiz in the 4th round would be awesome too. But basically, if we can get a Band-Aid at center for 2020, I'm fine with these projects. But we cannot take a project if we do not get a bona fide starter for 2020 through another method. And if we decide to sit on Justin Britt for another year, which I think would be a mistake, but if we do decide to keep Britt for one more year, then, we could also try to take a guy like Hennessy or Ruiz in a middle round. So that's what I see. The options are not the best, but we have to do something here. I want to lock down a center who's going to be a quality option in the interior of this offensive line for years to come. And, Britt, hey, he earned some pretty good money here. He gave us some good years. He gave us good games. I like Britt, but I really, really am looking to this front office to move on this offseason. These are the options. Once again, my favorite, the thing I've been dreaming about all offseason long is to draft Biadaz with our first round pick and then bring in Mauigola from Wazoo as a 6th round pick to back him up. All right, what do you guys think? Did I miss anybody? Do you like Nick Harris? Do you like guys like that? Do you think Nick Harris could put on maybe 30 pounds of weight and be a guy who can play in the NFL? I don't know. Maybe you see things differently. All right, peace out. Go Hawks. Next position will be right tackle, and we have some real things to address when it comes to that position. So stay tuned for that. Go Hawks.